women are originators of folk in a way,
Right.
because it's people's music and it's
Yeah.
music that's also oral tradition, right? So
Yes.
there are a lot of times that like women will be singing in fields, or they'll be singing to their kids, or they'll be doing something that's a rhyme. So it's very simple music. So it'll kind of then become oral tradition, get passed on over generations like that. So there have to be more folk female artists doing folk music firstly, because it's natural to us. And hello to everybody at She the People. My name is Aabha Hanjura. I'm an eclectic folk pop singer songwriter and live performer, and I front end this band called Sufistication, which is a confluence of cultures as a brand and as a band as well. I grew up learning music because my mom had discovered my voice when I was a kid, and I was singing in my sleep. And she is also a trained singer, so she's trained classically. She kind of pushed me to learn. So I learned Hindustani classical as a kid, and then eventually I was not very, I kind of lost that interest in learning once my Guruji passed away. And then I was just going about my whole life and being very careless about whatever I want to do in life. Then eventually somehow Indian Idol happened. My brother pushed me to go for that, and I was from this small little town, and I never thought that, oh my God, I had seen the first season, and I was so much in awe of it because it was so
Yeah.
aspirational for me in a small town. And then he pushed me to go for it, and he wanted me to audition, and somehow I did land up. And before I knew it, I was in the finals. So that whole thing, that experience was a validation of talent, which is very important, I think, for women especially, or for people who don't take
Yeah.
themselves very seriously until someone else comes in and tells you that, oh, listen. So then, but then by then the industry was not very firstly, it was not very leaned towards independent music, and it was very monopolized, and it was only that, okay, there is only going to be this kind of music or not. It was also not a very safe space for women. And I felt that maybe this is not the right time for me to do. I was always meant to tell my own story through my music. So I think eventually I went on to have a corporate career, and then I quit my job to pursue music full time, even though I was doing very well with my corporate career. I kind of, the calling came very strongly when I visited Kashmir, on on a trip, and I was seeking some purpose for my music, and I found it all there. I wasn't sure that this is going to be the inspiration for my first album. So it's been good. You've just, I think once you are on the path that you want to be with determination, the universe makes it happen in a way. So you're kind of exploring your passion, your dreams. Then there's some rude shocks that you receive as a woman, because this is what I'm talking, 2005, 2006, I don't even remember that year now. It was not a very safe space for women generally, and I was just a 17-year-old. I didn't really know much about the world and about how today, of course, everything is different.
Yeah.
um,
Social
I have
media.
learned so much from my experiences in the entertainment business, of interacting with people, and also in the corporate world. But then at that time it was a rude shock, because I wasn't expecting that I would be made to feel vulnerable because of my art. I always wanted to feel empowered because of my art, and that is the one switch that flipped at a certain point, and I was like, "Listen, I am an artist, and I'm supposed to feel. My art is supposed to empower me. Nobody's supposed to make me feel vulnerable or say that hey, listen, those little shady things that, listen, if you do this, if we do this, if we meet here, if we do this, then hey, let's talk about a song. For me as a 17-year-old, it was too much, and I was like, what is happening? My parents are struggling so much to just make ends meet. They're refugees in their own country, and I am, will I sit in Bombay now and do this? Then I was like, no, 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 so I'll go back, finish my education, and I ended up having a corporate career. It was more to reclaim some respect, because something had happened which wasn't which had made me believe that that is the foundation of my entire career now, Deepshika, because I decided that day that nobody will ever make me feel like uh, vulnerable because of my art, or like in a position where I will not feel empowered. So I always seek that empowerment. And then I realized that that's inner work. You have to then eventually I realized that corporate is no different. It's not that anywhere it's safe for women or whatever. That you have to know how to handle a few situations. You have to know how to deal with a few things in life. You have to also know when do you need to put your foot down, and those things never stopped eventually. I mean, sadly that's the thing about women. And in when you're a woman, yeah, and this is something that I'm going to teach my daughter, that never internalize anything that anybody else projects on you, because it's not on you if somebody doesn't have the right eye or the right way to
Right
talk,
gaze
or
too.
the right.
Yeah,
So this is something that I wasn't taught when I was growing, sadly.
absolutely.
So this kind of, I did internalize it, and I did end up in a fit of anger, saying that okay, screw this, I don't want to do this, sorry for my language, but like, okay, leave it, I'm going to go join the smallest position that there is in a newspaper and start again, even if I was somebody people were taking autographs of on the road 2 days ago, because it was that thing that kind of ticked off. But as a woman, when you're facing the industry, it takes a lot of time, and there's so much to. What has changed is that uh, there is awareness, and people are certainly talking about creating a safer space for women, and also not tokenism in the name of okay, representation. There are so many female artists in this country who are doing fabulous work. They need to be on a festival stage on because of their own merit. It's not that you have to. It has to be because it's tokenism. So that needs to change, and women are only changing that by showing up and being present and doing their thing. And but at the border level, things have not really changed completely. uh, you're still having your it's still a longer climb for you as a woman if you're in the
Entertainment.
entertainment business. So by the time you've got to prove yourself harder than your male counterparts to say that no, I'm here and I'm here for good and I'm seriously doing my work. I got married, I had kids. That does not mean that I'm not a serious artist, or I'm not going to
Absolutely.
show up and do my next song. And I started doing Kashmiri folk fusion specifically in this language, because I firstly felt it was very underrepresented in the mainstream. Because I would be a festival goer and I would go and watch festivals, and in the name of folk, there used to only play Rajasthani music or Punjabi or some of this one, but none of the this language, which is actually Indian, it was never represented in the mainstream. So I felt that that was a purpose for me. That's what drove me to do, Sophistication. And the first few songs that I did, at that time, there were not too many people who were doing this music, but now there are so many more. So I feel that that's a great thing for the industry, for the art, for this music, for this language. And I feel that there is also the consumer, for the listener, who's very open to a very different palette of music today. The audience is not stupid. I feel that the audience is also ready for a lot of different mix in terms of different kind of music. And then I really hope that, especially even on festival stages and people who do music festivals, there's more representation of female artists, and in the live space as well, because there are some amazing live performers in India who are female. So they have to be, somehow, this whole thing is not really translated onto live stages as well in this country. That needs to happen. I feel like social media as a tool for us artists is definitely a very, very important and a very big one. And we should know how to use it, and not abuse it. As long as you're doing your own thing, you're authentic, and you're just being yourself, it's great. That's what I do. Not never trying to be anyone else. I try to be very honest with my audiences, and very candid about my life and who I am. And I think that's what has helped me so far.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any videos by us.